So today we're going to be talking about activities for couples, and this is all from the book called The Couple's Journey by Susan Campbell. And I will start by saying that I am not currently in a romantic or marital relationship. However, I identified as being in a relationship for some of the time that I did this research. And so while I have played around with this, some of these I've not tested. I just felt that I wanted to hold on to this and wanted to share it so that this amazing stuff, because it's a whole book. Not everybody wants to read the whole book. So number one, a discussion that proceeds by a partner sharing and the other reflects back their statement, paraphrasing, and then the first saying whether it was accurate, to which the second can try again if necessary. Once the sharer feels satisfied, the other partner goes, and then the sharer from the first round has to be the reflector on the next round, paraphrasing back until can give that satisfaction. Yes, you heard me, and accurately, So I want to say that some people say this is part of imago therapy. Some people say this is part of modern day couples therapy, and I will say that this book was written a long time ago. It's one of the earlier books. When I say a long time ago, I mean relatively. It's one of the earlier books in this field, couples work. So you might find that some of these things feel like they should be attributed to other people, but this is a therapist, a researcher, a very insightful and keen observer of relationships, and so I feel that I'm giving her the credit for all of these exercises, even though you might associate them with other people or organizations or specific therapy types. So she says about that, number one, it's surprising to learn how little of what the other has said is understood. Sometimes too much agreement and disagreement actually prevents valid communication, what the people are really disagreeing or agreeing about, and how the content versus the style of communication. Number two, this is a number two exercise. Each shares what has been withheld from the other. Basically, what did I withhold from you? What can bring to the surface conflict areas potentially, so that the format is, after one shares, the second says thank you. So you tell your secret, the thing you're holding back, you haven't told them. After each has shared a few things kept from the other, they can alternate elaborating, clarifying, giving feedback. Number three, use a paper like something precious that both want. Hold on with fingers in each corner. Like, take this paper and say, okay, we both want, let's say, I don't know why this popped in my head. We both want to, be the first to achieve a certain pleasure. So I'm holding it, you're holding it, we're both holding it. And we try to find a way to get it with or without talking. You decide first, are we going to be able to talk or not, without damaging or tearing the paper for 5 minutes any way you can. You try to get it away, and they try to get it away. And it's like an activity. So this is like a really vivid illustration, the way that the people deal with conflict individually and as a couple. Like, will someone just try to yank it? Will someone use trickery? Will they try to negotiate? Will they deny to avoid confrontation? And after, it's important to discuss comfort and discomfort in authority, collaboration, competition, victory, and then talk about what they would like to change with their own or their partner's approach, while still recognizing that you can't force or legislate change, but you can observe and communicate what we see in a way that leads us to accept and understand, without expecting, conforming to the other to conform to an ideal or rush to people please. Number four, the next activity for couples is a fantasy or a real tour of an imaginary or imagining a home or exploring the home, and seeing who controls or uses most of the time the various spaces. So you give a tour and you say, this is the living room, this is where my wife spends all of her time. Or you say, okay, this is the bedroom, this is where my husband spends all the time. Like, who sort of owns that space? And then discuss whether each person agrees with the spaces that are owned by that person. Like, the kitchen is owned, just for example, the kitchen is owned by the mom, and the living room is owned by the kids, and the office is owned by the dad, just for an example. Or the bathroom in the bedroom, the master bathroom is owned by the wife, versus the main bathroom is owned by the husband or the family. And then of each other's perception, and also seeing if the spaces also represent aspects of the relationship and the balances of power, the rules. Now, this is me exaggerating because I live in a 3-room apartment, 4 rooms technically. There's a very small kitchen for one person. There's a small bedroom for one person with enough room for closet space and a bathroom in that room. And there's no windows in the kitchen or the bedroom. And then after you walk through the next doorway, there's a small room, which I'm in now. And this room could technically be used, if it was like 2 teenagers and they were boys probably, or maybe some other situation. You could fit a bed in here and a bed in there, but it would be very hard to fit 2 beds in either of the rooms. And then, so this room is like, got an air conditioner in one window and a window in the other, which is sort of on an edge so that people can't see in, but air comes in, you could close it with a small curtain. And there's some place to put things like a shoe rack and a little book stand and shelving, and that's pretty much it. So where's this office and this living room and all these things I'm talking about? So each person could figure out for their house, you could name the rooms. Just want to put that disclaimer. Like, I'm not assuming everyone has a house with many, many rooms. 5. This is an activity where you start this by saying, I spite you by, and then you own up to what can be considered a negative or undesirable behavior pattern. You go on for 3 to 5 minutes, as many as you could think of, and then the other person goes. So for example, say, I spite you by pretending I don't know what you're talking about. Just an example. Generally not helpful to discuss after, but rather just appreciate the other's attempt to be straightforward. Someone could say, I spite you by snoring. So it doesn't have to be on purpose. Coming home late, being so gracious whenever you criticize me, like, oh, thanks for giving me the feedback to help me become a better person. Wearing that old house coat you hate. It should be done in a brainstorming, non-critical way if you're sharing. So number 6, the activity is being queen or being king for the day. A member gets to plan the day, one of the members of the relationship, and to be shared by the couple where the other gratifies his or her wishes or desires, pleases whenever possible, centered around him or her. At some later day, the second gets to be the king or queen. It's best not to be the next day after, because then there's still like maybe an inner experience to be processed about the other's experience. And if maybe there's a big challenge with serving someone, it could be very challenging then to not try to take advantage of the one who you just served and try to make them serve you more. Number 7, incognito. Each invents a new identity with a life history, basically a story, as if someone that the other never met. They arrange to meet in a restaurant or a neutral territory, even dressing or talking differently, and at the end they see if they want to see each other again and share honestly what they like or dislike about the other's new identity. So some people call this a role play, but this is a specific type of role play. Number 8, you tell the dream you had the night before, and it can help where each of us are at. Like, so you basically, I would say, like, I had a nap today and I had a dream about my sister calling me. All the food had spilled on the floor, and she was like trying to say I should come for Yom Kippur. I haven't talked to her in a long time, years, and her kids, who are like young adults already, almost like around 20, had these really squeaky little kid voices saying, me too, I want you to come, me too. And I even saw the house she lived in, and it was all a made-up story. Okay, number 9, nonverbal mutual massage, simultaneously giving and receiving. So you could be like, you both give each other a foot, and you start with a foot, and you both massage each other's foot, and you simultaneously get and give. And somebody will jump and say, isn't there like oral sex practice where people do that? So this is not that. This is a massage, something that you could do. So it's hard to give and receive a back massage at the same time. You could give a hand, a thigh, a part of the back. But probably the foot is one of the best, or the leg. It should be pleasurable and sensual, but not explicitly sexual. So you get to relax and enjoy and see about whether it feels like, and receive the care while providing maximum tender, loving care, and see if it feels like the equal treatment. Basically, try to maintain that equal treatment. Like, one person doesn't just stop and relax. Like, both people are engaged enough. Number 10, each number a paper 1 to 20, and as fast as possible without censoring anything. Like, you write 1 to 20, you start filling in 1, 2, 3, 20 things you love to do with your partner. And you, and in order to make this possible for both people together to capitalize on, you now can then go through the list together, and you place a dollar sign by the ones that need a minimum of like $20 to do it. Let's say a museum, horseback riding. I'm not saying that I love to do this with. Let me think for real. Okay, going for a walk, going out to eat, watching a video, going to a museum, people watching on a bench. That's what I'll do for right now, 5. So now I would put a money sign by the ones that need minimum $20. Like probably going out to eat will cost that much. If it's watching a movie at home versus going out, right? And then a P by the ones with more people than just a partner, like going out to like an event, like laughter yoga, or going with the family to the farm, going with his family to the farm. A, next to the ones you want to do alone as partners. And you put a 5 next to the ones that would have been there. You put a 5 by the ones on the list. If you've been together for 5 years, you use a 5 to say these are the ones that we would have been there even 5 years ago. Now, if you've only been together a year, you put, a 6 to say 6 months ago we would have even done this, or something like that. You put a star next to 5 that you love the most, and a plus sign next to the ones that the partner loves the most. So each of us end up with this very interesting, almost like a database. And we try to date them like when we last did them. Like, hey, didn't we love to go to these like crafts classes? Or didn't we love to go to the sound bath? And we haven't done it so long. Then each one shares the list. You make a composite list after discussing the similarities and the differences, and the responses, the discoveries, and the present feelings, keeping all seasons in mind. By responses and discoveries is like what came out from the discussion, and whether or not there's things you want to try or do. One of them could be like trying new things together. Or doing stuff like this, finding things to do together. If you live in a place that you could go berry picking, or or go shopping, there's a lot of different options. Number 11, or going to the zoo, the circus, whatever you feel. I'm just giving variety of examples. Okay. Number 11 activities, project planning. This is individual or joint, can be revolving around the relationship, work, or leisure. These will incorporate values, needs, desires and aims, resources and goals, peak experiences, a chance to learn, possibilities. First of all, we have to consider the current commitments, whether they're vocational commitments, recreational, relational, and what would we want to add or subtract for greater fulfillment. So let's say you want to start a pickling business. We'll pickle some stuff at home. We want to do a joint collaboration. We want to start a pickling business. So between labeling them, sanitizing all the mason jars, going to get the vegetables, pickling them, turning them, then the initial brining process, or whichever method you're pickling, you see whether we have time, or maybe we could not go to, the bingo night for a few weeks as we get on track. Will that be good for us? And so on. Then we list projects we have in mind, but we're not committed to, and consider what would be the most fulfilling. Like, wouldn't it be nice if we could go and learn how to do salsa? Like, if a couple might like that, and they might start thinking about it. Then you are like, wouldn't it be nice if we went to the gym and got in shape by the end of the year? So we brainstorm the two lists with the partner, without the evaluation happening until after we finish the session. It's like a brainstorming. We're not yet criticizing, saying yes or no, or I like or I don't like. And then we decide what will add to our life, our satisfaction. Number 12, and the last one. Mountain fantasy. Imagine climbing and slowly sloping, basically a slowly steepening, but not steep, a very slowly sloping trail together, enjoying side by side as the path narrows and gets steeper, requiring each other, helping the other. The stress builds, and then they arrive at a crossroads. So there's a steep, narrow trail to the top, or a gentle path that circles around the mountain to the top. It's longer but less strenuous. You can reflect on experiences so far, where does one always push forward at the sight of the difficulty, or does one sort of take their time and enjoy hiking up in a more circular way, not so directly, achieving. And we can consider the choices and feelings and thoughts and questions like, will I get there before you? Will I have to wait for you? Is it dangerous to go that way? And do I feel embarrassed that one always chooses to be strong and go straight, and I'm like, I want to go the easier way? Do we feel jealous, like I don't have the energy? So, and then we envision upon deciding which, the journey and its feelings as reaching the top. And we focus, so like basically we focus on the similarities in like the pacing, the rhythm, or the potential complementarity in the differences. And finally, Susan Campbell, who I mentioned in her book, The Couple's Journey, says that all these activities help to shed the habitual automatic ways of being. They foster transformation, opening up to new ways of being and helping to commit to the process of discovery and co-creation. And that makes the entire experience of being in that relationship different. So that's all for today. Have a good night. Bye.